So if you remember, in kind of going through some of the depositions with John Ramsey, and think Lynn Wood brought into focus the fact that special um, special counsel, I call it that, special counsel um, from the Boulder DA under the direction of Alex Hunter sort of sent out a note or a letter or a memo to Mr. Hoffman, basically stating that given Mr. Hoffman's use for the benefit of Christian Wolf, given Mr. Hoffman's use of um, handwriting experts like Sena Wong, and sort of submitting the their analysis to the DA's office from Sena Wong and others, uh, because they didn't, Sena Wong and others didn't provide Patsy Ramsey's dissimilarities beside the similarities of their handwriting analysis. They Michael Kane, who was a special prosecutor, deemed um, that their technical analysis was lacking and basically said that they're not qualified to continue helping on the case any further beyond their assistance to Mr. Hoffman, which I thought was interesting because my thoughts were, well, why didn't you just ask them if they have the analysis readily available? And so this is kind of a discussion, a more updated discussion with Special Prosecutor Michael Kane. This is updated, and we're talking about the Netflix show, but here it is.
Joining me now is someone who probably knows this case as well as anyone. He still has questions about John and his late wife, Patsy. The former special prosecutor on the case, Michael Kane, he is featured in the Netflix documentary. Michael, good to see you again. Thanks for doing the show. We appreciate it. So let me start with the big picture question. You're still not ready to rule out the parents, are you?
No, I'm not. And I'm not suggesting that one way or another I know who did it. For 25 years, that question's been in my mind. But I don't think, given the state of the evidence, that you can rule anybody out.
Why is that? I mean, what is it about the evidence that still makes you have questions about the parents?
Well, I think if you gave me a few days to talk about it, I might be able to summarize it. But there have been many cases in this country where people have wakened up to find their children missing. Paula Class, Elizabeth Smart, there's just a couple of them. And in each of those cases, there was a predictable way that the parents would act. They wanted to find out who killed their child, but there was also a predictable way that the police would act. And that is, you look at first who was in the house, and you have to eliminate them. If you can't eliminate the people in the house, then you're really, you're never going to convict anybody, because that's going to be the alternative suspect. And I don't think that Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, even though I told them the first time I interviewed him that that's what we need to do, they, to me, always opted to shield themselves rather than go after and help us go after who might have done this. And to me, that was striking. Now, like I say, there are 50 different things that I could talk about now that, to me, raise questions. On the other hand, there's a lot of things that raise questions about whether an intruder came in the house. All I'm saying is that I don't think you can eliminate anybody at this point.
Let me.
It's very interesting coming from him, because my problem with his statements and his response to the sort of independent handwriting experts As we said, Sena Wong said, hey man, I've identified like 200 similarities between Patsy and this note. And furthermore, as we said before, CBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigations was like, yeah, no, I mean, we can't, rule her out as of yet. We need more samples from her to try to get some sort of consistency of understanding whether or not this is actually her doing, is what was said. And so I guess you don't even have to take the words of Sena Wong, or you don't even have to take their analysis, but at least take the direction or the indication, at least take the opportunity to follow up on what they're saying, to say, look, I disagree with your methods. And the second thing that he listed, before I continue with that, the second thing that he listed for both experts, or the three experts or something like that, was, oh, and you guys are not professional. You guys are going out and taunting yourselves in the media and trying to push your own narrative. How do we know that? You cannot rule people out based off the fact that you see them on TV. Is the analysis good or is it bad? Is it inconsistent with what you believe or what your office has found or not? I would have taken that analysis and gone to the CBI or gone to the Boulder Police Department and said, hey, these are what these independent experts are saying. What do you think? Is it nonsense or what? But DA Hunter sits there and says, well, I don't, basically, essentially what I read into it, him saying is, well, we don't have to take anybody's opinion that we don't want to. We didn't believe that the opinion was real, or we don't believe that the analysis is real. So I choose not to spend my time on it. And here we have, some 20 something odd years later, the man who wrote the response letters on behalf of DA Hunter jumping back and saying, oh, well, we could never really rule out the family.
Play. This is from the documentary. This is about the ransom note, which to me is probably the most interesting piece of evidence there. And there were indications at the outset that the handwriting had matched Patsy Ramsey's, but then there were questions about that and people challenging that. Here's number 4.
Very early on, there was massive police leaking that Patsy Ramsey had written the ransom note.
At least 4 experts, and 2 of them from the Secret Service, looked at the handwriting and said Patsy Ramsey did not write the note.
They didn't like the answer, so they leaked information saying she did write it.
Now, look, I think we can all agree the ransom note was a fake. Whoever wrote this ransom note didn't mean it. They weren't part of a small foreign faction. They weren't looking for ransom. JonBenet's body was found in the basement. What is the story from your perspective with regard to Patsy Ramsey's handwriting and the note?
Well, I think, first of all, if the theory is that this was a vicious predator, why in the world would the person write a 2.5-page note that, starts out as a political statement, then gets into a ransom? That's not what predators do. They want to abuse somebody. They want to get in. They want to get out. So you have to ask yourself, why is this there? It was clearly, as you said, it's a fake note. It was made as a diversion. Why did the person want to make a diversion? As far as the handwriting goes, one day when I was working on this case, I wrote this out in my left hand, and you probably could have convicted me based on how it looked, because it looked nothing like my right hand writing, because when you write with your dominant hand, your brain is doing it passively. When you write with your non-dominant hand, you're thinking about your drawing is really what it is. So I can't be sure that whoever, I can say, and others have said that this handwriting wasn't done with anybody in the house's dominant hand, but I don't know that anybody could say that it wasn't done with the non-dominant hand.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to you. I like this guy. I think he's genuine. I think he's honest. But I guess the thing that set me off was the fact that it felt like he didn't even try to take legitimate information. And when I say legitimate information, I'm saying information that's trending in one area, just to say, well, I mean, dang, we got these experts. At least get them on the phone and ask questions about what they've analyzed. To go on and say, oh, they didn't like the answer, so they leaked information. You listed me 2 people who agreed with you. That's my problem with the private investigation or the private lie detector tests. You take a test and then you get inconclusive, and then you take it again. And I'm going to talk more about my issues with the lie detector test, because I got something that I want to review on that. But this whole try again until you get the answer that you want, and we're only going to mention the answers that we want, that we did under our circumstances and how we wanted to see it. And I feel like this guy is genuine, but I feel like under the direction of DA Hunter, I feel like there was some sort of blockade. Because as I was watching DA Hunter's, and I'm going to release that, as I was watching DA Hunter's deposition with Linwood, like I said, man, I feel like Linwood got very unprofessional. He started asking DA Hunter about the governor, I believe it was, and how dare the governor say things about private citizens like that, and this, that, and the third, stuff that had nothing to do with the deposition. Basically, water cooler talk. What do you think? We're in a formal deposition, and this is the questions that he's asking. Hence, the tape got cut a lot. But I feel like under DA Hunter's rule, or his sort of service time, he pushed this man to respond and say, well, we're not interested in your analysis. And it's like, man, don't make me go look at some more interviews to side-eye you, because that doesn't make sense.
All right. Now I want to talk about something that came up much later, that when I heard this news, this came up years later, Thanks for watching.
That's the video. Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Appreciate your support. And until next video, take it easy.